This is More Than Work, the podcast reminding you that your self-worth is made up of more than your job title. Each week, I'll talk to a guest about how they discovered that for themselves. You'll hear about what they did, what they're doing, and who they are. I'm your host, Rabiah. I work in IT, perform stand-up comedy, write, volunteer, and, of course, podcast. Thank you for listening. Here we go. Hey everyone, so I haven't done this in a while, but I am going to just chat a little bit with you before we get into the episode. Still trying to figure out the balance of what I'm doing with the podcast as far as having it every other week now rather than every week, and making sure I can keep it going and bringing you great guests, but also having some kind of balance of my own so I'm not a total hypocrite with More Than Work. This episode, oh my gosh, it's so fun. I've been trying to get this guy on my show for a while just because he is a comic. Yes, it's a comic. There's going to be a few of them this season, but I think what's awesome about comics is that a lot of them are doing other stuff, or they have been doing other stuff and then they went into it. And I guess eventually I want that to be my story, you know, that I'm pursuing it more and more. But anyway, this guest, Rich Wilson, is so funny. He's a master. I think every time I've seen him perform, I've been both kind of observing, like almost like it's a master class, but also just having a great time and laughing a lot. And I'm so glad I got to talk to him. He has a great podcast that I listen to called Insane in the Men Brain, and then he does the Fem Brain and I think the Them Brain. But he's just cool, and it's like, comedy's funny because I've gotten to meet so many different people. Some of them have been awesome. Some of them have been amazing, amazing people, and some of them have been not the best people, really. And I think that's the same in business or just at a bar, at a pub. So he's one of the good ones. And we got into quite a few subjects. We talked about Louis C.K., which I haven't talked to many people about, but he was someone I really, really admired for his comedy. And it's been hard. And so it was interesting to hear a man's point of view and a man not sitting there defending him, because I've heard a lot of those. He didn't say anything terrible about him either, but it was just an honest viewpoint about someone who another person respects kind of in the same way as me. And then we just talked about a lot of other subjects and about his work and his path and everything he's done. He was super generous, and so I'm just really excited. I'm really excited to bring you this episode. And then otherwise, just it's been a busy 2023 so far. How are you guys doing? I'm asking that question like Marin asks on his podcast. You know, how you doing, guys? And then I'm going to tell you how I'm doing. But I'm doing pretty good. It's just been busy. I'm going to Leicester, and I'm saying that correctly, but if you look at the transcript, it's spelled differently than it sounds, guys. If you're from anywhere but the UK, they seem to think it's okay to say things differently than they're spelled here. But I'm going to Leicester on Friday to do my solo show and with my friend Schwan, and I'm really excited to get together with her to do that and just kind of give that 30-minute thing another shot. And then I need to keep writing on it, and just some stuff I experienced in the past year, some stuff you'll hear about on this episode, have really renewed my, I guess, I don't know if it's desire or renewed my conviction that certain subjects need to be talked about. And for me, the stage is going to be where I'm going to talk about them. I had an interview today, just recently. One reason I'm doing this is because I was dressed and ready and hair and makeup done and everything, and this will be on video on YouTube as well. But I had an interview today for a trustee position that I would do. It's non-paid and just another way of serving in nonprofits. And I had to talk a lot about my story, and it was really great to be able to do that in a different way and in a different medium. So we'll see what happens with that. But I just took a chance and decided to apply for it, and I'm excited to see what happens. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're listening. If this is your first episode, thanks for making it this far, not just skipping straight to Rich. But if you've been around for a while, I've got over 100 episodes. Other comics I've had on that you might want to check out are Stefania Licari. She was on recently, Philip Simon, and then there were some in the first season, Vix Layton, and my friend Rebecca. She's on the last season, I think, or maybe the season before that. But anyway, there's quite a few comics I've had on, so you can check those episodes out if you want to hear from more comics. Otherwise, I think I'll let you get to listening to Rich and what he talks about and what we talk about and laugh about. And there's more cursing on this one than any of my other episodes. And I'm kind of proud of that, to be honest. So enjoy this one. Hey everyone, welcome back to More Than Work this week. I'm really excited about this guest. It's Rich Wilson, and he's a comedian who I've met on the circuit and gone to see a couple times. And thanks for being on, Rich.
My pleasure. It's nice to see you again. You well?
Yeah, doing well. Thank you. How about you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Very well, thank you.
Good.
Getting back into the swing of it after Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, everyone kind of takes a little bit of a break if they can, right? And then ramps up. Yeah. And where am I talking to you from today?
I'm in Brighton. I'm in my flat in Brighton. And my wife is just over there on the sofa being quiet on her phone.
Nice. And she's another comedian, right? So
she is, yeah, Kate McGann.
Yeah, so it must be a fun house to be in then, at least somewhat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is actually. Like I got Kate an early Valentine's present, roller skates.
Oh, wow.
So she's been roller skating around the flat. That's good.
Just
fun.
like you could do that child-proofing thing where you like lock up, make sure all the edges aren't sharp and everything, make it safe, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go to Mother Care to get like the blocks for the side of the tables and things so she doesn't hurt herself.
Yeah, that's what I would need to do. So
Yeah.
So all right, cool. Well, good. Well, I'm glad to have you on. So, I mean, you're a professional comedian. You've been a comedian for how long, full time?
This is my 19th year. So 16 professionally, 19 since I've been doing it. So.
Oh, great. So 3 years in, you were able to just go to full time.
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was already emceeing another club that my ex-partner was running, and it was a well-renowned club. It was up the creek, which is a big club. But they had another one in Croydon, because I was emceeing that. Other clubs just went, oh, well, if you're doing that, you can come and do this. So I kind of jumped the queue. I didn't do very many open mic nights. I kind of went straight in emceeing. So yeah. Because open mic nights, Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Brutal. It's brutal, and especially if you've got bringers as well. You've got to bring 20 friends. You're like, I'm not a promoter. I'm the comedian. You know,
no.
It's not easy.
Yeah, and you're kind of like, I'm a comedian. I don't have friends. You know, like
exactly. I'm too busy doing this. I could probably bring another 5 comedians, but they're all going to want to get on as well. So.
Yeah, that's a trick you kind of do where you go, oh, maybe they'll have a dropout last minute and I'm the bringer, but maybe I can get up, you know, and you hope that happens.
Oh, we all dream of that. Someone's dropped out, can you go on? And then you're the hero of the night. You absolutely smash it. Everyone's like, where the hell did you come from? You know, that's the dream.
Yeah, exactly. So what were you doing before you stepped on stage and did comedy for the first time?
Everything. I've done everything because I've just kind of bing-bonged around my life. I wanted to be a chef when I was growing up, and then they said, well, it's unsociable hours, and I was like, I don't want to do that. And now look at me. But I wanted to be a chef, and I wanted to be a mechanic, and then I ended up, whatever job came along. I left school early. I didn't even get any qualifications. I just left. I just stopped going. And my school was one of those schools where they didn't even care. It's like they didn't phone up to see where I'd gone. They were like, oh, thank God he's gone. So, yeah, just gone. So
then what brought you to the stage for the first time? And when you did it, did you think that's what I'm going to do? Or were you going on stage just to check it out? How was that for you?
Everything I've ever done, job-wise, is just, I'll be at some job and then they'll say, oh, if you go and do this other job, you'll earn more money. So I've gone, yeah, all right, then I'll go and do that then. So I've kind of, like I say, just ricocheted through my life. And then I was a barman at Up the Creek in South London, and then I got friendly with some comedians, and they were telling me how much they were earning. And then a few of them were going, you could probably do this, Rich. You're really funny. You should do it. And then someone else gave me my first gig. So really, I got into it because it was earning more money than being a barman. That was it.
God, Rich. That's great, though. I mean,
yeah, I wanted to be this kind of, it was always my dream. I just always knew I was going to be, following the footsteps of Richard Pryor and all that. But It was literally just someone said you could earn probably 600-700 quid a week, and I said okay, I'll go and do that then.
If there's a comedian right now listening, they hate hearing that. They're like, "What are you talking about?" But that's great.
But it's not like I didn't like comedy. I loved comedy. That's why I got the job at the club. I got a friend of mine, Tom, he and I are very similar age. He was almost like an older brother to me. So when we were growing up, he was always giving me videos, and he's always telling me about this, that, and the other that he'd heard. My next door neighbours as well, Alan, he was a bit older than me as well, and he was always giving me music and tapes and stuff. So I was aware of comedy and listening to Eddie Murphy, Delirious, when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Just, oh my God. I mean, you can't listen to that now. It's the opening line, I think, would get you cancelled, let alone the rest of it. So, but it was it's of its time. It was mid-'80s, early into mid-'80s, different time back then, and from that I learnt about Richard Pryor. I learnt about, who else is Lenny Bruce, and then I learnt about George Carlin. So I was quite well versed in comedy. I think obviously on a subconscious level, I just thought I must have been going in that direction. I just didn't know it. Mm-hmm. I think maybe.
Yeah, and the guys you name, I mean, it's interesting because so with Richard Pryor, for example, I've watched him and studied him a bit. Now my comedy has nothing to do with him, but I say it on this podcast sometimes, you probably don't know, but I have multiple sclerosis, and so he's like a celebrity that had that. And so for some reason I feel this connection around that, and then I watch his comedy and he's brilliant, but you could not, maybe, I don't know, Chappelle's probably the person who's towing that line right now or standing on that line, and I agree with some things and don't agree with other things, but it's not about that. But it is interesting, like the guys you heard about and maybe were early on influenced by are definitely not maybe the same as now. I don't know, like who over time has your career kind of maybe been influenced by, if you think about it?
A massive influence on me, a real turning point for me, was Louis C.K. When I first saw him, and I was like, wow, I wanted to have... Just his worldview was... I used to listen to his stuff all the time, just have it on, trying to see what he saw in the world. And I was genuinely devastated when all that stuff came out about him. When I heard about it, I even remember where I was when I heard, and I was just stood in the street just going, fuck, man. He epitomised everything. He was everything that I wanted to be. He was brave in what he was saying. And now it's funny, when you listen back, a lot of it you go, there's a lot of dick jokes in this. There's a lot of masturbating. And you go, oh yeah, all right, yeah, it was kind of there, wasn't it?
Yeah, with him, I loved him. I saw him. I lived in New York City for a while, and he was doing a lot of shows at the Beacon Theater or places like that, smaller theaters, and he would famously charge only like $20 for a ticket or something, right? And go around all the ticket vendors and everything. And so I would see him a lot just in those kind of things, and right before he filmed specials, saw him in Chicago, LA, loved him. And it was devastating to hear. But then it was like, upon reflection, oh wow, yeah, he was talking about that a lot, and it was funny. Yeah. If it wasn't happening right in front of you, probably.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't imagine what it must have been like being in that position, being in that room with him, and that's happening. But then I don't know. It's just one of those things. You go, it's upsetting and it's sad, and you go, all of that stuff did make you question your own behaviour. You can't, like, as a man, you're kind of going, shit, am I doing stuff that's I don't even know I'm doing it. Like, because you're brought up to the way that, like, if a woman gets sexually assaulted, it was always, well, she shouldn't have been out that time of night. She shouldn't have been wearing that. She shouldn't have been in that room with him on his own. And it was always on the woman. And it's only the good thing that's come out of all of this is that we're now, like, we are double checking ourselves and going, hang on a minute, and you go, was there anything? Was there this? That, And so that's a good thing that's come out of it. But he was a big influence, and it was a shame. But then I think a lot of my comedies, someone said to me, a lot of the way I do it, it seems it's like an American style to it. So I think I'm very influenced by, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Bill Burr. You know, what was the other guy's name that died? What's his name? Patrice O'Neill. Gilbert Gottfried went as well. Jesus.
Yeah.
A big hero of mine. And again, genuinely upset when he passed away, as it was such a shock because no one knew he was ill. Norm Macdonald. I've read his book. I've listened to the book as well, him doing it, and I've watched that special, the first special that he had out. I've watched it so many times because I just think Norm Macdonald was the one. Looking back, I think Norm he was just a bigger influence than Louis C.K., I reckon. He was just funny all the time. He didn't just switch it on. He was just out on every talk show, on everything he ever did. He'd be telling a story and it would go on for like 20 minutes. And the punchline would be shit. He didn't care. He just did it. And you go, wow, he was just... I just loved him. I think Norm Macdonald has been a big influence on me.
Yeah.
Because my punchlines are shit, my wife just said.
No.
How dare
Hey, she's not on the podcast right now. Come on.
See, this is what I'm living with. It's not fair to live with someone who's funny.
I saw her at Edinburgh on a mixed bill, and she was really funny. It was down in the new part of Edinburgh. But anyway, she's funny. If she wants to talk to me later, that's fine. But
yeah, she is funny. You have to get her on. Get her on her own. I'll get her on her own episode. She's giggling in the fridge. Yeah, you're all pleased with yourself now, aren't you?
Oh, man. She's going to get tagged in the post, too, now. That's what she's done.
Yeah, good.
But
Good. Funny.
When you look at your influences, though, and stuff then, and just how you've written material, I mean, I think it must have evolved over time. Because when you first did your first set, like, do you remember the first joke you wrote or told?
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah. Because I've said this on many podcasts. I've said it on my own one. Fundamentally, I'm quite shy. So for me to be doing stand-up comedy blows my mind. And so the first time I did it, I was so scared. The 2 months leading up to that, when I was told I'm doing the gig to the time it started, I was in bits. I just didn't know what to do. And I've been out with some friends, and my friend told me about this sexual position called the frog punch. And he told me about it, and I remember him telling me, and I went, yeah, that's going to be my opening joke. And it's so shit. It's not even. It's so horrible. It's just that he was saying, like, you know, because I said, what's a frog punch? And he said, well, when you're with your partner and you're having sex from behind, and then as she's about to come, or someone's about to come, you punch them in the kidneys at the opportune moment. And I'm listening to this, and then I went, all right, when's an opportune moment to punch anyone in the kidneys? What are you talking about? And that was the joke. And then I forgot the rest of it. Yeah. It got a good laugh. It got a laugh. So I did 2.5 minutes of a 5-minute set, and then I got off. And then Silky, whose gig it is, he went, no, he goes, you're going to come back next month. You're going to be the resident open spot. So we did that.
Wow. That's cool. That's funny. I'm going to say, I guess, Urban Dictionary is the place to go for that one. But I know the donkey punch. I don't know it. Like, I'm not going to say I know it as though it's like a thing, but I've heard of it, but never the frog.
Yeah, I don't even know why it was called the frog punch. All of those things are horrible, aren't they? All of those, like you say, the donkey, all of it is awful, you know. I'm no prude, I'm not saying that, but at the same time, I think punching each other around, it's not really what I'm into.
Me neither. So at least that's one thing people can learn about us here.
You go.
Not into punching.
Not into punching. Sorry if you're into that. I'm not here to shame. Not here to kink shame.
No. So when you look at you kind of having bounced around though and not sticking with any career other than maybe just, this is an opportunity to make more or whatever, what kept you in comedy? At some point you must have decided that you like it or love it or want to keep doing it.
Well, I think after your first gig, you know whether you want to do it again. There's a switch that gets flipped and you're like, yes, I want to do that again. I don't know what it is. I just kind of went, yeah, I'm having this. I want to do this again. And then, I mean, there's been moments, to be honest, just lately, I think because I'm getting older, I'm kind of questioning that because I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks' time. So you start to go, can I really do this for another 10 years, you know, travelling around? And then you go, well, I haven't got much choice. I have no choice. I don't have a pension. I've got nothing. I don't have any savings. I have to do this until I die. This is just it. So, so there is that. There is a. It was interesting actually talking in the first lockdown. I was talking to another comic, and he was saying, he's going, oh yeah, but we need the attention. We need that love from the crowd, and it made me realise, I'm like, no, I don't need it. I don't need attention like that. What I do I like being in front of people and making a room full of people laugh their nuts off. Just everyone just spitting their drinks out and slapping each other on the thigh and just, oh my God, this is the best night ever. That is what I like.
Yeah.
You know, that's what keeps me doing it. I think I love that. I have a real need. I like making people laugh. I make people laugh anyway during the day. So I just love doing it. I love making people laugh.
Yeah.
And I think that's it.
Yeah, and just in your interactions and stuff, right? Like I was home recently, and I was with my mom, and I hadn't been around for about a year, and we were in department stores and stuff at the mall, and I didn't mean to, and I kept talking to people and like laughing and stuff, and she'd go look at something and come back and be like, of course you're talking to people, and she was getting kind of annoyed or maybe embarrassed, I'm not sure, but it was just kind of, I couldn't help it. It's just kind of what I do, you know?
Yeah. Kate and I end up in conversations all the time with total strangers, and it's just if because of what we do is very social, very sociable. So it's just an extension of that, isn't it? When you're out in a store or wherever and you're chatting, and it is like a gig. It's like you're emceeing this. It's like you're emceeing the shop. It's just like, oh, that's a nice jacket. That looks really nice. Yeah, really cool. Where are you from? You MC in the store. I mean, TK Maxx is smashing the place. Yeah.
That's what... Yeah, I work at... or I do volunteer work at Crisis charity shop here in Camden. They just opened one. And nice. I'll talk to the people, and I'm like, I wish I could do as well on stage as an MC as I do at the shop. I swear. I'd be like...
You need to start videoing it.
Yeah, just put that on, like customer interactions. Yeah.
That'll be your content. That's your content right there.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening so far, and I'm just going to interrupt the podcast for about a minute and a half or so to tell you about a podcast that I really love. It's called Art Heals All Wounds, and it's by Pam Uzell. She works in documentary films, and basically she's super easy to listen to and has great guests, kind of like me, right? I know that's what you're thinking. One of my favorite episodes was when she had the directors and creators of Crip Camp, this Oscar-nominated documentary film, on her podcast. I learned so much from them and was really entertained, but basically all her guests have a story to tell. They are healed through art, and art is how they express themselves. The art could be what you think of as art, meaning something like painting, or it could be writing or filmmaking or anything else. So Pam's going to tell you a little bit more about our podcast, and then we'll resume with this episode. Thank you.
Do you want to change the world? So do I. On this podcast, we meet artists whose work is doing just that. Welcome to Art Heals All Wounds. I'm your host, Pam Uzell. Each week, I interview an artist and talk about their work. As creative thinkers, artists present us with some of the most compelling visions of ways that our world could work better for everyone. Art around environmental, social, and racial justice, gender equity, ways to build community and bridge divisions, and solace for grieving. If we can see solutions to the things that prevent us from thriving as individuals and societies, we can imagine implementing those solutions. Once we imagine that, we can become the people we want to be, belonging to communities that nurture everyone, and living in societies based on equity and justice. How do we change the world? One artist at a time.
So, I saw you at Edinburgh, and you did a solo. You were doing a solo like hour, and it was just about and you talk quite a bit about your own life, but then other subjects. And so, when you think about the guy who was writing the joke that you wrote like at the start, and the guy who's writing jokes now and stuff, what's changed about the process for you and comedy for you?
people now ask my advice on how to write comedy. That blows my mind. It's like suddenly I've been doing it long enough that people starting out will message me and say, look, I'm struggling with this bit. What, have you got any advice for this, that, and the other? And that the guy from nearly 20 years ago with the frog punch would have just, he had no idea. He didn't know how to write a joke. He just retold a story that his friend told him. And, you know, I think you just do. If you've been doing something long enough, you do study it. Even if you don't have to sit down with massive books and things like that, but you're watching specials, you're watching documentaries, you're reading books. There's The Artist's Way that I remember that changed things a bit for me. You're studying it, and I think because you're studying it on your own terms as well. You actually want to do it. It's not like school when they say, "Oh, you have to learn about this and you have to learn about that." This is something that you want to do, so it goes in really easy. If you're passionate about something, it's really easy to pick it up. Like musicians will learn how to write music and it will just come to them because they're loving it, they're into it. And I think I didn't know that this would happen, that I'd actually be good at this. I didn't know I'd actually become someone that could actually sit and talk about it in a way that's not intellectual, but, like I can actually talk about the mechanics of comedy just because I've been doing it for so long. I've studied it. So that I find that amazing. I'm like these top chefs. I'm like that. It's like, I'm just actually know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. It's crazy. I don't, I say that now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
It is interesting to, I guess, find the thing and maybe unintentionally. You could have said no to the gig. You could have easily said, no, I'm just going to be the barman, right? And you're just the favorite guy.
Yeah. Absolutely thought about it. But for some reason, because my friend had said, you have to do it, I felt there was this, I just didn't want to let him down, weirdly. And and I think I was starting to get to an age where, because I was 32, so I was starting to get to an age where I was more like the power of yes. Do you know what I mean? You kind of go, I need to say yes to more things. I'm going to just say yeah, and I'm going to see where it takes me. That was a kind of that beginning of that. It's like one of the first things I went, yeah, I'm going to go and do it, and that stayed with me. Now I am very much I do say yes to a lot of things. It hasn't always worked out. I've ended up in some right dodgy situations, but here I am.
Yeah, and one thing too is, in addition to the comedy, then you have a podcast, Insane in the Membrane. Then you have other offshoots of that. So how did the podcast come about?
I was a guest on another podcast called Hardcore Listings with Stu Whiffen and Chris Glasson. And we had such a good time. And then when I came away, I got a message the next day from one of I think he was their producer. And he said, I think you should do your own podcast. You've got a really good voice for it. Let me come around and have a chat. And so that was 4 years ago, 5 maybe. He came round, he had all his stuff, and then he said, look, there's going to be a big wave soon. Everybody's going to be doing podcasts. I think you should do it. I think you should do a podcast. And I went, yeah, but I don't know what about. What should we do? He said, well, let's just have a chat. So we set all the stuff up and we started talking. And then he started telling me something that he's never told anyone before. And it was really personal and we ended up, it was almost like a therapy session. And at the end of it, I was like, mate, this is what the podcast is. It's going to be about men talking to each other about stuff. It's going to be that. And he's like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then he had his own stuff to deal with, so I didn't hear from him again. He went off. I've spoken to him since. He just had some personal stuff he was dealing with. So I now had that idea in my head. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll do a podcast. And then I spoke to my now ex, and she was working at Comedy Central doing the continuity. And her producer was Paul, a guy called Paul. And she said, she just happened to be talking to him one day, and he said, yeah, I want to start getting into podcasts. And she said, oh, yeah, my partner, Rich, he wants to do one. And so we ended up having a chat. And I told him the idea, and he said, this is brilliant. Right, we need to get a title. We need to come up with this, come up with that. And I remember just sitting on the bed that day, and honestly, it just popped into my head, Insane in the Membrane, and it came from me mishearing the lyrics of the Cypress Hill song. And I went, oh, yes, come on. And I just laid on the bed. That was me, done for the day. I was like, that's it. I'm a genius. So it just came from that, really, talking to people about mental health and about things that they've gone through things in how they cope with it, because it's a lot. I'm learning as well. That's the point of the podcast. It's all about the guest, and and the listeners as well as me. We're all learning about things. Like you mentioned earlier that you had multiple sclerosis, and I didn't know that, and I don't know much about it. I know people that have had it, but I've never met someone that's kind of dealing with it. From the podcast, I've learned so many different things. I don't know how I would do, because that's something that gets worse, isn't it, as you go along?
Yeah.
And then do you have to make choices? You have to make decisions about what you're going to, when things start to really get, really, I don't know what happens. It's like they just shut down or they seize up. I don't know what happens.
Yeah, it's all it's all different things, and something I probably didn't even talk about it here, but I will now just because we're talking. Is, it's just degenerative over time, and so it'll affect everyone differently. So last year when I got COVID, I lost vision in my eye because it caused an exacerbation of the MS, and that caused me to lose vision in my right eye completely, and then it came back 70%. Now it's not going to come back anymore. So that was telling me, hey, you're not recovering as much anymore, and you've got to figure this out. And so I do think about it a lot, and one reason I do a lot of things is because I don't know when I won't be able to, and I think I cope with it in that way, and other people cope with it in different ways, and like charity work's a big part of my life because I want to improve things as much for other people. I'm really lucky, but I think everyone who has MS deals with it differently, but same with depression and mental health. Like, someone can say I'm depressed, but it could mean so many different things, which you probably found out on your podcast. And
definitely.
So it's
So do you know when you see the doctor, do they know what's happening? They kind of go, right, well, this is starting to happen, so that means you're going to have to start doing something else. You're going to have to start walking with a stick or wherever. I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, I think over time they'll just figure out what they'll do, like MRIs, so then they can see you get these lesions in your brain and spine, and then they'll kind of be able to see what's happening, like if they're active, quote unquote, or not, like if things have changed, and so they check every year. And then if you just stop being able to walk or something like that, but things can kind of happen very quickly, and then you have to see if you recover or not, and go from there. And so like the walking's a big one, or falling. Like, I'm very good at falling, but it could be a talent, or it could just be something I've had to learn,
Yeah.
But,
like Buzz Lightyear. It's not flying, it's falling with style. Yeah.
But Rich, I mean, it's just all different. I mean, it's just, it can affect everybody so differently, and that's the weird part of it. And then for me, I just kind of go, well, I've been allowed all this so far, and I'm not always positive about it, that's for sure.
No, it must be hard. It must be hard. That's what I mean. When you get the diagnosis, it must be. You must go through. It's like the 5 stages of grief, isn't it? You kind of there's the anger, and then there's acceptance, and there's it must be. Yeah. Because it's not fair. It isn't fair, is it? That I know it's all part of being a human being. All these illnesses and diseases. At any point, one of us, we could all get struck down with whatever. But when it's something like that, and it's not fair, is it? Yeah. When there's total wankers running around. I'm not saying that they should be ill, but at the same time, you're like, oh, mate, you're just being a shitbag to everybody. And yet I'm trying to do my best, and I'm trying to improve and trying to be a better person and be decent to everyone. And now I've got this. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe horrible people are immune to that shit because they're so horrible. Like evil just repels. They just repel evil things. I don't know.
I mean, and the same thing with like losing loved ones and things like that a lot of things result in grief. And I think then, there are those things. I mean, I'm not going to ever pretend I don't ask, well, why did so-and-so die but not that person? But then it's so awful, like as a person to have that thought, then it's like, all right, maybe I don't need to think that way, but more, what can I do to honor the person who died other than wish other people ill, like, is there something more productive to do? But it's tricky, and grief is funny too, because I'm sure you've heard that on your podcast, where you don't just go through the 5 stages linear and then you're done with it, but it's just kind of, you bounce between them all the time and figure out where you're at. And I don't know.
That has come up on the podcast a bit, actually, grief. And I learned so much. There's a guy called Mark Lemon who's father was murdered when he was 12 or 13.
Jeez.
He came in from school and they sat him down and they said, this has happened. And, and I think that must be hard when someone passes away that you weren't expecting it. Illness, they're getting ill, and it's kind of like my gran died recently, but she was ill for a long time, and she didn't have a night. Her life there's no decent quality of life. She was in bed, she was going a bit senile, and she couldn't look after herself. And so really when she passed away, you kind of go, I'm sad that she's gone, but at the same time, I'm glad she's not suffering anymore. So that's that's nice. But when someone just 1 minute, like in the morning, you're like, I'll see you later on, and then you never see that person again. That must send you spinning. That your brain will be forever like, oh, where are they? You can't comprehend that they're not around anymore. Do you know what I mean? This is the thing with doing this podcast as well. All these thoughts these are the things that keep me up at night. Like I'll just go into bed and then I'll have this mad thought about, whatever. And yeah. I don't know. It's good and bad.
Yeah. And well, I think and it's part of our human experience, like we're one of the species that can think. Like we know can have these complex thoughts, right? And we know like others probably maybe don't. Did you have, and you don't have to talk about it, but like, did you have any experience with dealing with mental health before the podcast, or did you just kind of, with that conversation that you had with the original person who talked to you, just find that it was important to have that conversation and just go from there? And now it's become something
I'd had counselling. I'd had counselling a couple of times. I just realised I kept messing up relationships. I wasn't trustworthy. I wasn't happy. I knew that I wasn't with the right person, and it wasn't fair on them. It wasn't their fault. It was my fault. I tended to kind of like get into relationships and go head first into it, and then suddenly I'm like, oh shit, no, this isn't right. Oh, I've done it again. And then I didn't want to upset that person, so I'd end up doing shitty things. Like I'd meet someone else, but then I hadn't broken up with that person, and then I'd end up seeing two people, not wanting to upset anybody. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I'll look at this, I've got two people. It was like, I don't upset anyone, and of course you end up upsetting everybody. And it was really getting me down. So I met someone, and then they said, right, you need to go and have counselling. You need to go and talk to someone. And I met this guy. It was really good. It really helped me out and really made me understand why I was doing what I was doing, and recognising the signs and going, right, don't do that again. Just have fun with people, and you don't have to just run away with them. You can just have a nice time. But in saying that, I met my wife, and then we got married a year later. So
yeah,
she's listening. She's going to ask me now. She goes, "Oh, no, this is different."
Yeah,
I've had counselling. It's all good. I'm a nice person now.
Good. I think you are. I mean, I've met you enough times in person to know you're a nice person. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Do you know what's nice? You can leave, things like you can leave your phone on the side. You can leave your phone around, and it doesn't matter if someone goes in it.
Yeah.
Things like that, because you're not up to anything, or not up to anything. But you're not in a situation. It's a nice feeling knowing that you're not upsetting anybody, and everyone, you've got nice people around you that love you, and you love them, and everything's on the level, and it's all nice. It's a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, that's a good point. Or they don't have to contact you like only at this time or whatever, like things like that. It's
yeah. It's just nice, and then that's the thing. When this is the people misunderstand sometimes when they go, oh, he cheated or she cheated, and you go, yeah, there are people that they do it and they can't help themselves or whatever. But there's other situations where people just aren't happy and they don't know what to do. I know a couple of people right now that they're having affairs, but it isn't because it's not notches on the bedpost. It's like genuinely don't know what to do, and it's a tricky one. I think it's one of those ones you're like be more honest and talk to each other, but that's not always. You can't always do that. It's really tricky. isn't it? You know, to sit down and have a chat with someone. But I think there has to be more understanding when it comes to that sort of thing, rather than people just going, "Oh, this scumbag cheated." Like, no, there obviously was an unhappiness there somewhere. So, wow, this is getting serious. This.
Yeah. Come on, Rich.
Yeah, it's supposed to be comedy. Come on, man. We've talked about cheating. We've talked.
Yeah, this is good. This is going to be.
No,
but it's just like I told you, it's not all comedy on this podcast. So I've proved it now. So we're good. We both made the point.
Let's get back to the funnies.
Yeah, looking at your career, I mean, I know I'm not traveling a lot, but I'll be out, you know, a few nights a week and stuff, and then you end up on the road quite a bit, and so I think people can perceive that job differently than it is. You know what I mean? So my desk job is 9 to 5, quote unquote, at a desk, and people understand that. But then your job, people might think, oh, is just having fun all day, but really you're working, and there's like a different element of being away and things like that, and that can, I think, be stressful as well. What do you do outside of work that kind of sets you up to be able to go on stage and make people laugh, but also like just helps keep you going when you're in those kind of things?
I think music keeps me going. Music just, it always levels me out. If I'm feeling a bit anxious, it'll always, I love music as much as I love comedy, maybe more so actually. I do a radio show on Islington Radio, and I get to pick the playlist. I can play whatever I want. And I love putting those playlists together. And I'm always, there's that app, Shazam, on your phone, that you can tell you what the song is. So you'll always find me stood in a corner somewhere in a restaurant or in a shop, and I've got my arm in the air, I'm Shazamming the music. And just like Kate will go, where's he gone now? She'll see me in the corner, like I'm trying to, like I'm conducting lightning, you know. Just, but music, I love music. And that keeps me going. I love movies as well. I watch films. I like films more than television. I'll watch, you know, like a TV series. But after a couple, I'm like, all right, I get it. All right, I got it now. You know, I don't really. But with a film, you're kind of done. You're done in an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever. So I tell you what, I did watch recently. Spirited, Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds. I'm not normally one for musicals, but what a soundtrack! Oh, my days. I was coming back New Year's Eve. I was in the car on my own. I was coming back from Nottingham and Leicester. And so I was going to be on the road when the bells tolled. So I was like, right. So I got a mate of mine, and he's got a gig in Leicester. So I stopped off there at their pub, had a pint and a burger with them. Happy New Year. And then I'm in the car driving down the motorway, and it's empty. The motorway's empty. And I'm just at the top of my lungs. I'm singing the soundtrack to Spirited. You know, good afternoon. It's brilliant. I had such a good time. I think it might be the best New Year I've ever had.
That's great, though.
Well, it's funnily enough, when I got back, because I picked Kate up from a party, so I got back to Brighton at sort of 2:30, and she was at a party. And when I got there, they were all mangled. Everyone was flying. And, you know, by the time I got there, it was coming to an end. So we came home. And then on New Year's Day, a friend of Kate's went, oh, look, I fancy going to the pub. Do you want to go? So we went to the pub, and we got that, and then we got trolleyed, and we were up till 4 a.m. the next day. So poor Kate had 2 nights to deal with all that stuff.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. This is like not even a fair question to ask, but like maybe I'm trying to narrow it down for you already, but just as far as musical influences, is there anyone you kind of you'll always go to? Maybe who are your go-tos? I won't say who's your favorite, but because that could be different. But who are your go-tos for music?
So there's certain albums that I remember having when I was a teenager. When things are really bad, I put them on, and they calm me down. I get a sense of comfort from those. It takes me back to that time when, you know, I didn't owe money to the tax man. I wasn't an adult trying to figure out the world. I was just a young kid, just, you know. I was worrying about training shoes rather than, you know, sneakers. I was worrying about sneakers rather than, you know, bills and stuff. And so there's an album by The called Infected that came out in 1986. So I've always got that on if I'm stressed. Franking Christ by the Dead Kennedys. That's a good one. And I've still got the vinyl, and it's got the poster, which is it came with a poster called Penis Landscape, and it was done by H.R. Geiger. You know, the guy that did Aliens.
Yeah.
And it's a penis. It's like Alien, but it's a penis going into a vagina, and there's loads of. It's like a collage of this same thing. And it got banned when it came out. It got banned. And you're like, yeah, you can't have that on the wall. People come in. Your mum's like, oh, that's an interesting collage. What's that? That's Penis Landscape, mum. There's an 80s English band called Level 42 that I was massive on when I was a kid in the 80s. And so, again, when I'm stressed, I put on, there's an album of theirs called Standing in the Light. And I put that on. So it's all stuff from my childhood, really. The Damned. Yeah, all that kind of thing. That's what I go to. But it just depends. Nice. Like, I'll have a night. There was a night the other day I was in the car and I was going through all the old disco tracks, and then there's, you know, blues stuff. Just depends. That's the other thing as well, because we're in a car on our own quite a bit. I end up spending hours just like, right, I'm going to put that playlist on. I'm going to listen to that album. I've never listened to that before. Jeff Buckley, Grace. I'd never listened to it before.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't fancy it. I just don't know. It's one of those albums where I didn't care. But I'm like, well, I've never listened to it. So I put it on. I have been punishing myself for all these years not listening to it. It's sublime, isn't it?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm open to anything, really. But yeah, you'll always find me, you know, if I'm not listening to music, I'm finding new music. I'm always in the record shops. If I'm in your city, I'm either in TK Maxx or I'm in a vintage shop or a record shop. Those are the three places you'll find me.
That you'll be. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I love music too, Rich. It's great. So do you have any advice or mantra that you kind of like to share with people just generally, or something you follow that you want to share?
I think, like we said earlier, it's that say yes. Say yes to things. Even if it scares you, just go, yeah, all right, I'll give that a go. Try stuff, you know, because that's how I ended up. By saying yes, I ended up travelling the world, making people laugh, because I said yes to things. So you never know where you're going to end up, you know. So be open to stuff. There's so many people I see, they're so closed off and they're missing out on so much. Like I did, for example, with Jeff Buckley's album, Grace. I didn't bother listening to that for years. I just wasn't interested. Now it's one of the best things I've ever heard. So all those years wasted, you know, because I was negative about it. Shut it off. That's a small example, but say yes. Say yes. When someone says to you, do you want to go for a walk? Say yes. Do you want to meet for coffee? Actually say yes and actually go. You'll be surprised how good you'll feel after you've done it, you know, because it's easy. It's that thing of making plans and then not seeing them through. But if you actually see them through, you will honestly feel like you've achieved something. And that's half the battle with depression, is that we need to feel like we've achieved something during the day. That's why like my wife, Kate's brilliant at this. She'll write a list of things, and it'll say things like drying up, do the washing, you know, make your bed, that sort of thing. Like, oh, that's a bit Jordan Peterson, but you know what I mean. But, you know, and then tick those things off, and then your brain goes, look at that. Look what you completed today. And that's it. Just you know, do things and say yes. I think that would be the only advice, really. And listen to good music. Put some music on. Get off your phone, because I do that as well. Waste hours scrolling. Just it's poison. It's all shit. None of it's good. If anything's any good, someone will send you a link.
Yeah, let them curate it for you.
Yeah, someone else will find it.
Nice. All right, cool. That's great advice, and something I think people, if anyone follows it, let us know, because we want to know what you said yes to.
Yeah, do that. Right, get in touch and say what you said yes to. We want to hear. Just be careful. Don't you know? Obviously, not juggling alligators or whatever. Like, you know, don't do that. But...
So if you're in Florida, watch the advice, but everyone else is
okay, basically. Yeah, go for a paddle in the creek. Don't do that in Florida.
Cool. All right, so the last set of questions is called the Fun Five. I just ask every guest these questions, so I want to hear what you have. The first one: what is the oldest T-shirt that you have and still wear?
Right. So I've got one from 2003, 4. So either 2003, 2004. I went to CBGB's in New York before it became a shitty new age clothes shop or whatever it is now. And I was drunk and I bought a load of T-shirts from there, and I gave them out as gifts. And so I've still got one. That'd be nearly 20 years old now. That's, you know, yeah. So I went to CBGB's and sat on the shitty toilet that didn't have any walls, and just, yeah, it was exactly how I imagined it would be. It smelt weird. One of those old music venues that when I was a teenager, everything smelt of cigarettes, patchouli oil, and sweat. You know,
yeah.
And what a smell! They should bottle that. I'd wear that.
It's the new Lynx.
Yeah, man, yeah. Just no one to go near me. I smell like an old gig. But yeah, my old T-shirt from CBGB's. Yeah, I mean, there's an Oasis one as well. I've got from. I went to see them at Finsbury Park in 2002. I've still got that. Yeah, so that's still kicking around. I don't wear them, but because I can't fit in them. I could wear them as a hat, maybe. Maybe I'll wear them as gloves. There's 2 T-shirts.
That's a sight. All right. If every day was really Groundhog's Day, like people were saying, you know, when we were in lockdown especially, what would you have your alarm clock set to play every morning?
I think there's a song, I mentioned it earlier, I think I'd have as my alarm every day, it would be Infected, the title track from that album, because it's really powerful and it's full on straight away, and that would get you up in the morning. So yeah, Infected by the.
Okay, great. Coffee or tea or neither?
I like a good cup of tea in the morning when I'm up. I like the first drink in the day. Is a nice cup of tea. I like getting up because Kate's been working at the Plunge where they make the costumes for The Masked Singer. So she's been getting up to go and do that, and so I like getting up in the morning. I'll get up with her and we'll have a nice cup of tea together and have a nice chat, and so that's nice, you know, cup of tea. And then when I'm out, it's coffee. I have coffee all the time. Just, I just don't like feeling tired because I'm getting old now and I'm worried that I'll just be sleeping all day. So I try and keep up and busy and as much as possible, you know. It won't be long until I'm just sat in an armchair stinking of urine. Oh, God.
Well, you'll need to get your spray then.
Yeah. I'm going to have to get those trees. You know, you get in the cars, the car air freshener. I'll have loads of them sat around. Like which one was it? It was one of the victims in Saw. The guy that was on the bed, strapped to the bed, that wasn't dead, but was nearly dead. Isn't it funny how we just rot away, don't we?
Okay.
So I'll be 51 in a couple of weeks. So I reckon I've got 30 good years until, you know, I'm having to get someone to wipe me and hose me down in the garden. And then like wearing those really big sneakers, you know, like Seinfeld used to wear. Those big New Balance ones, because they're just comfortable, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you don't care how they look.
Nah, you don't care. No one wants to fuck you anymore. You're not bothered about what you look like. You don't care. You're covered in piss. You've got big old white trainers that are collecting piss. Something to look forward to. You got all your dinner down your front. No one cares.
Oh my God. Okay. I can actually answer this one myself right now with basically what we're doing. But can you think of a time when you like laughed so hard you cried, or something that always cracks you up when you think about it?
The last time I was hysterical, and I couldn't breathe. And it's something, when I tell people, they just look at me like they go, right. It was in the remake of the TV show Get Smart. Alan Arkin. The man is just hilarious in everything. He's brilliant in everything. I love him so much. And he's the boss in the remake of Get Smart. And there's a bit where he's just walking along and he's talking to James Caan. James Caan's the president of the United States of America. And they're walking along. And James Caan he goes, well, you know, the thing is, they're talking about, they can't be having nuclear bombs. And Alan Arkin goes, nuclear. And he goes, what? He goes, nothing. And I just lost my mind. I'm going, he corrected him and no one's mentioned it. Because everyone gets the word, there's loads of people that they say the word nuclear wrong. They say nuclear. Mm-hmm. And so he said it. And I couldn't breathe. We had to stop the DVD because I'm just going, he said nuclear. He said nuclear. And everyone's looking at me going, what is wrong with you? I mean, because everyone says it wrong and no one corrects him. And he corrected him. And the way he did it. And honestly, it was one of the best things I've ever seen. And I say it to people and they go, right. It's a funny film, actually. Get Smart. It never really got the praise that it deserved. There's some really funny bits in it. And they're all Alan. I mean, Steve Carell, hilarious. And, Steve Carell's excellent. But Alan Arkin is, for me, he's in Little Miss Sunshine as Grandad. And the man's brilliant. I'll be really sad when he goes.
Oh, for sure. Did you see Kaminsky Method? Did you guys watch that with Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin?
No.
It's on Netflix. It's the Kaminsky Method. You guys got to watch that because it'll go pretty quickly. I think it's just 2, maybe 3 seasons. And it's brilliant. So they play best friends, Michael Douglas and Alan Arkin, and you'll love it. Yeah. Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's something I'll have a go at that. Excellent.
Yeah.
Alan Arkin, what a man.
Yeah, totally. All right, cool. And the last one, who inspires you right now?
Oh, this is going to be really cheesy. This is going to be so cheesy. But I think my sons, they're just top lads. And they're adults now. They're 25 and 30. Yeah. I want them to be proud of me, Because what happens when I said this on Rob Beckett's podcast. I was talking about being a parent and I said, what happens now? What they don't tell you, when your kids grow up, you get an appraisal. they tell you what you were like as a parent. Because I felt bad. I was always like, I could have done this. I could have been better at this. And they're like, no, Dad, you're fine. Don't worry. So I want them to be proud of me. I want them to be, when I'm not here anymore, I want them to be able to say, my dad was a good man. He did his best. I think they inspire me. My wife inspires me. I want to be a good husband. I want to be I want her to go out into the world and go, yeah, he's fucking great. I want other people to be sickened by how great I am as a husband. I want to be that guy. He's making the rest of us look bad. I'm like, yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I think I'm inspired by anyone that's doing stuff. Anyone that's... Because it's so easy to sit back and just let everything kind of engulf you and go, oh, everything's turned to shit. Everything's really hard. What's the point? I really get inspired by people that like this. Doing this podcast now, I'm not just saying this because I'm sat with you. Having done this with you, this will now fire me up. And tomorrow I'll have a brilliantly productive day because I've done something today that was productive like this. Yeah. And I think anyone that's doing stuff in the face of what we're having to put up with at the minute with, all of our governments are terrible. They're running this planet. They're just destroying this planet. And we all feel powerless. It'd be easy just to let it all get the better of us, but we don't. We're doing things like podcasts and we're writing books and we're going to gigs to entertain people. So I think I'm inspired by that. I think that inspires me. People inspire me and they make me want to do better. Because if it was up to me, if I really let it get the better of me, I wouldn't have even got dressed today. You know what I mean? It's that sort of thing. I would have, mind you, I'm naked from the waist down. So, imagine. That's how I do all my podcasts. Just
right. Why not? Be comfortable.
I'm sitting on a commode as well, so I don't have to go to the toilet. I'm just.
I mean, you have to practice for 30 years from now. It's good.
Yeah, exactly. Because I can't imagine you can. It must be hard that first time you have to do it in a commode. That can't be easy. I've never done it in a commode. It can't be. You get stage fright. Your body, because your brain will be going, you're sat in the lounge. Why are you going to the toilet? You're sat in the lounge. And you have to explain to your brain, no, the toilet's here. It's portable. We're sat on it. Because your brain's used to you being in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I hadn't thought about that before. There's so much to deal with.
You're welcome. Okay, so...
Thank you.
So, just then, where do you want people to find you if they are listening to this and they want to find Rich Wilson? Where do they find you online?
So I'm on Twitter. I don't use it very often. Every now and again, inspiration will hit me and I'll tweet some shite. But I'm mostly promoting Insane in the Membrane, which is available on all podcast platforms. I'm on Instagram. I do like Instagram, actually. I'm on there quite a bit. So I am Rich Wilson on Instagram. I am Rich Wilson on Twitter. I'm on TikTok, but I haven't really done anything with it yet. Kate and I have got some ideas we're going to start doing. So I'm on there. So you'll find me. I've got a website as well, Rich Wilson Comedian.
Cool. All right, Rich, this has been great. Thank you so much for being on More Than Work.
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. It's really nice. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. You can learn more about the guest and what was talked about in the show notes. Joe Maffia created the music you're listening to. You can find him on Spotify at Joe, Maffia. Rob Metke does all the design, for which I am so grateful. You can find him online by searching Rob, Metke. Please leave a review if you like the show, and get in touch if you have feedback or guest ideas. The pod is on all the social channels at More Than Work Pod or at Rabiah Comedy on TikTok, and the website is morethanworkpod.com. While being kind to others, don't forget to be kind to yourself.